지금 다운로드 받으세요.
Welcome back, StarCraft 2 fans. We are in our second session here at the Pro League 2016 Round 3 Round Robin. I'm Wolf. With me is GTR, and we just saw a one-side series I didn't think we'd see, but we might see another one.
Yeah, I mean, that last series was one-sided, but there were some really crazy games there. But this one might be one-sided in both ways. I mean, looking at the lineups on paper, MVP looking like they might be swept here by KT.
Yep, it's definitely possible, especially with the strong core lineup KT is bringing. They're not hiding anything. Look at that. Look at that. They're not bringing anyone who's unnecessary. They want this win. They want the same win they took versus SKT in 2014. They want this season to be their season, and they're on fire right now. They want every indicator point possible so they can secure that first place spot, take that away from Jin Air, and just go straight to the finals.
Yeah, it looks like they just bought their minimal lineup. I mean, typically you expect KT to bring out everyone today, but it looks like tonight they're just bringing in their central players, as you said. And, I mean, the rest of the players are... Actually, no, TY's just going into the booth. They are literally just bringing out 4 players today.
Yep, that's right.
Crazy.
So, keeping it simple does limit them in an ace match, potentially, but if you're KT here, I'm thinking you're thinking no matter which one of the 4 players you send on Frost, if the ace match happens, they win it versus anyone on MVP. That's just the difference in skill between these two teams right now. But MVP could take a win or two here, could pull off a miracle. The thing about this match to look at, I think, is the Ryung versus TY game. That's the game I think that is the most anticipated of this second series because Ryung's TVT looks really good. He played a godlike TVT yesterday. And, you know, going up against TY, yeah, TY's TVT is really good. He beat Cure in order to advance to the GSL Finals. I think Ryung in a best of 1, maybe he takes the game. That's the game to look at.
Yeah, TY did play Ryung on Orbital Shipyard a couple of rounds ago, and that was a very close game, so I wouldn't count out on Ryung taking the match against TY. And one of the also other close-ish games you could say is Gumiho against Zest. We all know that Gumiho is pretty much the MVP, the ace of MVP Chikamaru, and Zest is looking quite shaky lately. He didn't really advance out of his SSL group as convincingly as I thought he would.
I have to say Lucera looks the shakiest of the 4, though. It's not a good time to be a Zerg player in the current meta. They're struggling quite a bit. The stats don't lie. If we go to that 4th game, we could see an ace match because it's possible that Blaze can take out Lucera. I know the 2 names on paper make it look like Lucera should still win it, but he's been looking pretty weak. He is a Zerg player in a meta where Zergs are not doing very well. And he did be bombed out of his SSL group. Like, he looked weak in a group full of Protosses, and he's playing as EVP.
Yeah, but generally, Zergs have looked very weak so far. Or not so far, but in the past couple of months as Legacy of the Void has developed his meta. And
Protosses found out how to deal with lurkers, and now they're dealing with the banelings. It's not a good time.
Yeah, and Zerg, it feels like Zerg doesn't really have too much options to work with.
The late game seems really Protoss favored because it's hard to build a comp that counters the Protoss right now. You know, Broodlord Infestor is dead, Tempests are really strong, so you can't really build the Broodlord comp. You get hard countered by double Robo or even triple Robo Immortals if you try to go Ultralist, so you kind of have to win the game in the early mid-game as a Zerg right now, in my opinion, and then just kind of coast through that next phase of the game, having an advantage and just eventually overwhelm the Protoss, which feels very Zerg-like, feels very like the Zerg race is supposed to be. But I don't know. I mean, we're not seeing a lot of success for Zergs in this matchup compared to the other matchups.
Yeah, and our first game is Pet against Stats, I believe. And
that's right.
I remember watching Pet play in the GSL qualifiers. He played against SOS, and literally every game he just went full free hatch Ling all in. And he's playing against Stats here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same exact thing from him. That's how he was playing against Hero as well in the GSL qualifiers. And if my memory serves me correctly, I believe Hero won that 3-2. So
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
it was very similar play every single match. It was just basically Ling all-ins, Ling Baneling all-ins, trying to win the game in the early mid-game.
Yep. Pet has actually been playing competitive StarCraft 2 in Korea since the beta. And
yeah, he was on Nex, I believe.
Yeah, he was on Nex, then he was on Xenex, and then he ended up on Startail when the teams merged. Now he's found his way all the way here to MVP. Chicken Maru, and like you have to wonder, like, how long can you play competitive StarCraft 2? 6 years without real results. I remember one of the things that the thing that stands out to me most about Pet that I remember the most. By the way, stats 11 and 3. I should point that out. Is I remember he was on the same team as Life, 2 Zerg players around the same age, around the same level of skill. And Kaldor was like always on the Pet hype train when he was out here commentating with me. And he'd be like, no, I've watched Pet's games. I've watched him in-house. I think he could end up being as good as Life. But it never happened. And this 7-0 vote is no surprise.
Well, the thing is, Pet's playstyle is very advantage on this map, Overgrowth, with that quick gold base. But it looks like we're going to get straight into this game. Pet against Stats here at the SPL.
All right, here we go. The game has begun. And up here to the top right in teal, the MVP Chickamauga player, it is Pet.
And in spawning here at the bottom left, the Chin Toss, as he is formerly known. For KT Rollstar, in the red, it's Stats.
An SSL finalist.
Cross-final winner.
Yeah, cross-final winner, although that tournament is basically not a tournament to me.
It's like a Kesper Cup or Hot 6 Cup.
It's even less than that. It's like, oh, he won like 2 best of 5s. Is he really a champion? I don't know about that. But we'll give him that one. He still has yet to win a real individual league tournament.
Yeah, but he's looking very strong so far. But the problem with Stats is that he gets overshadowed by his teammate Zest.
By the way, look at how pleased he looks in the booth. Like,
he's like, I know I'm playing
I can't tell if he's playing a ladder game with his favorite iTunes song on right now, or like Stats' face right now in the booth feels like the old iPod commercial. Like it's like it's like red and white or something, or black and red, and he's like dancing around with his iPod.
Oh yeah, like the iPod Nano ads.
Yeah.
He's just a silhouette in the booth.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like how I feel when I see him right now.
He's like bouncing up and down as well. I think he's feeling very confident coming to this game against Pet because he knows that Pet is a very one-dimensional player from what I've seen, what he's probably seen.
We've all seen it, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, he never shook off the old Xenix vibe. Because let's be real, pretty much every player on Xenix was a cheeser and an all-inner for the longest time. That clan and the Wera clan back in the beginning of StarCraft 2. And then a lot of good players, when they merged with StarTale, came out. Players like Hack, for example. Pet looked okay. Life was an ex-Xenix player. Even Xenix Ice Cream ended up being a decent player for a while. Balloon, very famous random player nowadays.
But then there was those Zergs that faded out, such as, you remember Kyrix, right?
Yep,
Kyrix would do the same thing over and over. It was impressive at first, but then everyone figured out how to micro against Banelings.
Yeah, so. Marine King figured out, like, Kyrix just makes Banelings. He's like, well, I just split. I don't even need combat shields versus you.
Yeah.
Combat shields doesn't make Marines do more damage. You're never going to hit my Marines. It doesn't matter. But yeah, Xenix was a clan back in the day that had a lot of great players, and this is one of the only few players actually left that still remains that continues to play competitive StarCraft 2 to this day.
Yeah, it's hard to trace which players from the Xenix clan are still around in StarCraft 2 5 or 6 years on from their disbandment.
But looking at this game, Pet didn't end up going for double hatch before pool because the probe didn't actually commit to the block.
Yeah, but he didn't take that gold base, which I thought he might have done on this map.
Yeah, I was feeling that as well.
Yeah.
Stats has checked everything, though. He's even going to send an Adept up for a further scout. And with the late pool, he can, try to put a little bit of pressure on. Might even force a Spore Canceller, too. Only 4 Lings down here. Doesn't commit to the Shade. Actually going to go for the third base. And yeah, actually with these 6 Lings out, shouldn't be able to find much.
Yeah, as long as Stats isn't foolish enough to run fully deep into the creep, he'll be able to do the scouting that he needs to with the Shade, but avoid getting killed by the Zerglings of Pet.
This is a disrespect glaive, man. This is like Stats like, okay, well, I just will do a timing attack and he won't be able to defend it. I'm that much better than him. I'm going to micro better. My timing's to be too crisp. We saw players do this against players like Departure, for example, the X-Prime player, because he would just struggle to deal with pushes like this, or against Terror, the old Prime player. We would see players just go, okay, I'm just going to cheese him. Like, this is an overreaction here. The drones are losing so much mining time, and in fact, several of them will go down.
Actually, this is not where you want to be main-hunting your drones down the south way. It's quite unfortunate here from Pet, because that is a long distance that they're trying to escape from.
Those drones might as well be dead for a long time. Like, I mean, they lost so much mining. this Baneling Nest that's coming up here may help him defend against the attack that is imminent. Looks like it's going to be with probably Oracles. He might add Phoenixes. It's only one Stargate. We've seen SOS in the past go double Stargate with this, but usually off 3 base. This is a much faster attack. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to come with this, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, either way, it feels like Stats is completely prepared for whatever Pet is willing to throw at him. I mean, he's got the Stargate, he's got the Resonating Glaives nearly done. It feels like Stats isn't going to die anytime soon.
Well, I think Stats is going to try to kill pretty soon. I mean,
well, we saw Pet drone up as well, so...
Yeah, he just made like 10 drones in total. He's going up to about 50 here. And here comes Stats' his move out.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a Warp Prism. He's hitting a second Stargate, and he is going for those Phoenixes. So it's like a 2-base variation of what we've seen in the past.
I mean, there's a point in this matchup where if you go for that double Stargate play, you get so many Phoenixes that you can just lift up every Baneling. And I think this is what Stats is thinking of doing right now.
Yeah, he's just going to try to get a tempo advantage from these Adepts at first. And then once he gets enough of an edge from that, he's going to have the follow-up hammer swing down. Notice he didn't make that third Nexus, actually. He's just faking it. He can always transition to it later should he want to.
Oh, a nice shade here. It's going to pick up a lot of drones.
Could even go for the Queen here, but he wants to just go for drones instead. Going to try to get in between that little cranny there in the minerals.
And he's going to be able to shade out as well.
He's going to go over here as well and harass not only the main, but also the natural.
Yeah, this defense here from Pet is looking very, very sad right now.
He made too many drones. He doesn't have enough units. The Banelings are... What is he doing? He's... Wait, I can't even say words right now. Like, what... Okay, finally these units come over. This is just too much damage.
Is Stats seriously going to win this off like 9 Adepts?
He's like, oh, I guess I didn't need my Phoenixes. This is a world-class level player, a finalist of the Star League versus someone who's been playing StarCraft for 6 years but never found success just yet.
Yeah, this is the difference between a good player and a great player.
Yes, actually very well said. Because Pet is an incredibly good player, but he's not a great player, and Stats is, and that's why he wins this game. Very well said.
I mean, you can see night and day the differences between these two players. Look, 36 drones have been killed, and Pet's going to try and do this counter-attack, but Stats has got enough overcharges, he's going to warp in enough units, and
he has
Pet
tight walls. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could say this game could not be more over right now.
I mean, this game's very, very, very depressing to watch. It's just. I can't feign excitement for this game, honestly, because Pet just has been creamed. Here comes the Phoenixes, and there's not enough anti-air for Pet to deal with them.
Spores coming up. Looks like Stats is going to play it safe and just get Blink and transition.
You can just pick up all these queens, and there's nothing that
Spores
Pet can do about it.
He's actually bringing this queen over, which is a mistake, because now he's going to lose both before the Spore even finishes. Then he can just kill the Overlords and leave with good micro here. Both Overlords go down. This is nasty.
Yep.
This is dirty. This is not safe for work, this best of one here.
This is not safe for life, honestly, considering how much Pet is getting wrecked in this game.
This StarCraft game may be the top of r/WTF tomorrow under the not safe for life. We'll see.
Even
now the Hydras get picked up. Like, oh, God. All right, well. Let's see. What the biggest question in this game now is: will Stats move across and kill him, or will he type out? Which one's going to happen first? That's the only thing left that's unknown.
It feels like we're watching some hope torture right now from Stats.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the former Terran player that was runner-up in his first season of GSL.
Yeah, not StarTel Rainbow, who also was once in the StarTel clan along with Pet. 6 Overlords on the way, so he can finally make more stuff.
Just look at the supply count. It's 106 to 56. I am staggered as to why Pet is still in this game. He's so behind. I can't think of anything. Like, even if Stats moves his army over the creep of Pet, Stats will still win.
Yeah, like, do you reckon that if Stats just right-clicked on this layer with his whole army, his army would just get there and kill it, despite the Pets like attacking him and trying to block him?
Let me look at the unit count. There's only 10 Lings, 1 Hydralisk, and 2 Queens out for Pet.
1 Hydra, 10 Lings, and 2 Queens, yeah, but I mean, all right.
But, you know, Stats is just playing it very safe here. I mean, you know, there's no reason to be hyper-aggressive when you have such a big lead.
Sure. Well, I mean, hey, he might have 7 Hydras by the time this layer finishes, if he can keep those, or by the time this Lurker Den finishes, if he can keep them alive. 8 more on the way, so it's going to be 9 in total. Stats is going for the attack, though. He's like, well, I guess I really did.
He needs to hit before he needs to get an Observer and those Lurkers come out, because once those Lurkers come out, it's a bit of a pain to kill.
I don't think he's going to have time to get that, though. The Lurker Den just now finishing up, and already these Baithlings are under attack. Force Field's going down preemptively just for safety here.
Oh my god, that is disgusting.
GG. There you go. KT Rolster starts what may be the beginning of an all-kill, a 3-0 sweep. TY doesn't even look up from his chair as Stats taps him. And that was just another ladder game for Stats. In fact, he's like, well, that was too low MMR. Probably wouldn't have hit you. Yeah. There you go. And MVP is an incredible team. They brought their A game yesterday, took out CJ very easily, very convincingly. But against a team like KT Rolster, who brought their 3 Titans to the table, can they stand up to the 2014 champions? I don't think so.
Yeah, that was such a one-sided game that I can't fathom to say how one-sided that game was.
Even Kenzie's reluctant to take photos. He's like, I don't know, man.
It's like, oh man, like I cannot find a good angle for this. I mean, it's so easy from him.
Well, Gumiho coming in the booth. Pet does not look happy, but you know, you see games like this every now and then in Pro League where a player is just simply outclassed and things snowball, and Stats didn't aggressive he wasn't ready. And it's just as simple as that. I mean, this is not even anything to take away from Pet. It's just Stats is the better player. And if anyone on the internet is upset about me saying that, I'm like, look up some stats, no pun intended, and tell me otherwise, because this is just what we saw is a S-level player versus a B-level player. There's a gap of tiers even in between them.
Did you cast Trap versus Horror with me on low like Crest, where Horror tried to do that one base Spyro play?
Yes, actually, I did.
It felt like a lot that game was just like that. It was just so one-sided that it's hard to justify Pet coming out anymore in Pro League, to be honest, because I don't think he's done any convincing performances so far.
No, I mean, that was not convincing. To say the slightest. He's fielded very infrequently, often as the 4th player, I've noticed. So it's one of those things where like he's set to be played but doesn't actually get that much experience in the booth. I would have rather seen him than Horror, to be honest, but I would have rather seen Seed.
Or like maybe even Departure.
Yeah, but like even Seed, who's now like the coach, I would have rather seen him come out here instead of that performance we saw.
Yeah.
To be totally frank. But they're getting him more experience. This season is basically over for MVP, so you know, put guys out there, try to get some wins, try to surprise people. They beat CJ 3-0 yesterday. That's impressive, but get some more players that don't have as much booth experience. And you'd think Pet has a lot from playing Starcraft 2 for 6 years competitively in Korea. But realistically, on all the teams he was on, he was fielded very rarely. He was kind of a sniper on Startail a little bit, similar to Life.